The ocean is calm this morning. The air is still. A cold, damp fog slowly rolls in over the coast of the eastern shore. Inch by inch, the sun rises over the highlands. The dew on the morning grass twinkles in the daybreak. This is Holdfast. On the edge of the southern trail, near the water circle, Grand Marshal of the Knights, Degran Brightforge, casts a line into the waters. Waiting for a bite, he contemplates the stillness of the morning, and the stillness of Holdfast for that matter. Things have been quiet since the citizens managed to close the surrounding rifts last fall. Though a little forlorn and longing for action, he decides he best not complain. The leave has done his men well, after all. The knights have been able to heal, and have completed some much-needed training. They're stronger than ever. Furthermore, an unexpected business venture in Applevale has granted the Order new equipment, armour, and magic items. But still, the absence of the hellbeasts and overgrown varmint has him eager for conflict. He gathers his catch and heads back to the camp to start breakfast. Waiting for him at the fire pit is his longtime friend and companion in battle, Knights Major Oren Warfield. The two have much to discuss. The endeavour in Applevale brought not only new gear and shiny trinkets, but enough money to begin construction of a new stronghold, a base for the knights and the brigade to organise themselves against their enemies, if any were to return. A heated debate over land and costs leave the men so distracted they barely notice Arden Gallagher passing by on the southern trail. Like every morning, Arden is headed to the Earth Circle to begin his daily ritual. He kneels at the well of magical energy and tries to focus on his prayers to Lord Earth and the ancestors. But he is distracted, his chest heavy with worry. The events of the last few months, as well as his quest with Tala, have proven the silence that has befallen Holdfast may not last much longer. He tries to push the thought to the back of his mind for now. He has work to do. He promised Malva he'd accompany her in some flower picking and ore gathering. After cluing up his meditations, he hikes the trails into the mountains to meet her. Together, Arden and Malva scavenge the thick brush for nightshade and black oak, ingredients for her many potions. As they advance further, they happen upon Hugo, who has spent the night on watch at Fairchild Grove. He finishes scribbling something on a scrap of paper and bids the duo a quick good morning before abruptly packing his things and heading back into town. He's not in the mood for small talk. They decide not to pry and continue their search. Hugo follows the pathways north towards the inn, wondering why he bothered returning again. The town can handle the occasional giant spider or bear attack on their own. Besides, the trial of last August has left a sour taste in his mouth. Degran's refusal to reprimand Datura for his assault, and the town's do-nothing attitude have him questioning the merits on which Holdfast bolsters itself. Perhaps keeping watch over the woods is just a habit at this point. He spent the past 8 months exploring the Confederate lands, studying the philosophies of law and governance amongst the different regions. His observations left him baffled as to why Holdfast has such a hard time with simple regulation. Maybe he returns in hopes of seeing things have changed. In his experience, they never do. Inside the watering hole, he grabs a plate, grumbling unintelligibly to the chef, Hassan. He picks a quiet corner to sit and enjoys his breakfast alone. Not far behind him, Timian enters the inn with a basket of eggs and potatoes under his arm. He sets them on the large table next to Hassan, who hands him a plate of food and instructs him to bring it to the forge. Timian gladly obliges. He takes his time and enjoys the walk from the inn to the forge. Admiring the quiet morning sunrise, he notes how unremarkable Holdfast has become. With the rifts finally closed, the citizens could now live in relative peace. This meant, however, that his work here was done. From what he could tell, the saga of the rifts was over. They hadn't seen a Hellion or Dollface in months. Perhaps it was time for him to prepare for his next journey. With that in mind, he arrives at the forge. There, Big Bun is methodically pumping the bellows, readying the fires for a day's work. He politely thanks Timian for the breakfast and hastily gobbles down the greasy sausage and eggs. As he eats, he looks over the set of golden scale mail armor sitting next to him. For weeks he'd been endlessly hammering and tempering the steel, obsessing over every last detail and imperfection. The work is tedious, and this has been one of the most difficult sets he has made to date. Although all the blood, sweat, and tears will be well worth it when he presents it to its new owner. He imagines a smile growing across her delicate face, light glistening in her beautiful brown eyes. He smiles to himself. The things this gruff old dwarf will do for love. The moment is interrupted. In front of him stands a broad, muscular man. Krond Thuliaga has been patiently waiting for him to return from his daydreams. Big Bun, a little embarrassed, blushes and silently gestures to a pile of newly repaired armor on the other side of his forge. Krond gives him an awkward nod and leaves him to continue his deep thoughts. Krond carries the armor to the main field and begins to suit up. His recruits will be arriving soon. He oversees the training of the brigade, a group of hopefuls who seek to protect the town and potentially someday be knighted. Through him, recruits develop their combat skills and toughen their character. Once Krond gives his seal of approval, the recruit may then be invited to take the trials necessary to become a knight. His current 2 students, Talia and Hare, could not be more different. Talia has proven she has the heart, mind, and ambition required to move forward in her training. And though her combat skills need improvement, she's a fast learner. Moreover, she's a talented alchemist, a skill that would be a great asset to the Order. Herr Finsternis, on the other hand, is much more adept in battle. Proficient with swords and daggers, his skill set would make nothing but a great addition to any battalion. Unfortunately, his unpredictable behaviour makes it hard for anyone to pin down where his loyalties lie. Krond intends to find out. Once suited in armour, he begins to warm up for the day's lesson. He spars with the air, slicing with precision, his blade lustrous in the morning sun. He has absolute command over his weapon. Getting carried away, he lifts the oversized greatsword into the air and slams it into the earth with a tremendous roar. The vibration rolls from the field, up into the hills, levelling out at a small encampment on the outskirts. Inside the makeshift hut, a man grabs a hold of a loose tea set to keep it from shaking off the table. He rolls his eyes and laughs to himself. Though he's new to Holdfast, he's been here long enough to know the source of the tremor. He wonders if it was enough to wake Sylvie. Her tea is just about ready. Marisi pours boiling water into a cup covered in strange, archaic symbols, and scoops in a pile of dried tea leaves. He knows she'll want to do a reading before heading into town. He mulls over the events that led him here. How did he manage to become the babysitter of this strange cairn girl, and in such a boring town no less? While this was not exactly the sort of work he signed up for, Sylvie foresaw his action would be needed. Trusting in her abilities, he begins to sharpen his blade for the 100th time, hopeful that her visions would soon come to fruition. Sylvie enters the room with a sense of urgency. Immediately sitting at the small table, she hurriedly drinks the tea. Deciding it's best to not distract her, Marisi continues to run the whetstone over the steel.
You are wise to do that. You are going to need it,
she says, referring to his polearm while eyeing the tea leaves. Her tone sounds much more serious than usual. She motions for his hand.
It's time. Come with me. . All right. Here we go. Okay. All right.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to episode 3 of Holdfast, the LARP podcast.
Episode 3. Okay. It's late. It's past my bedtime. This is a one shot. This is no edits. Whatever. I'm just warning you, Tony. Whatever said is said. We're not going back. This is just it. We're just in it. You're looking at me like
we're
you're
just
crazy.
in it, all around, good with it, and oh man, it is late.
We've both had long days, I think. How long did you work for today?
I was up at 5 o'clock this morning, which means that I've been awake for a solid 17 hours.
I was not up that early, but so I'm just being whiny. I can't complain, but I'm also pretty sleepy. But today, on the day this podcast goes out,
Yep.
It's game day.
Which means that those of you who are listening are possibly driving to site right now.
Yeah, like you're going to LARP. We're going LARPing.
It's finally here.
It's finally
The hiatus is over. It's been, 7-8 months? I think it's 7 months.
No, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. It's been like 9 months.
Oh my god.
Has it been? We
No.
could have had a baby in that time. A little LARP children.
A little LARP child.
Yeah.
Okay, so, dang, I didn't know that.
Did I just count that right? I'm very tired.
Okay, well, let's see. The last game was in September.
October.
Okay, hold on. Is it September? Okay, the first one was October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and May. It's been
So 8 months.
8 months.
This is thrilling content.
Oh. But it doesn't matter because today is the LARP.
Today, we have finally put the waiting behind us. We are on our way to site. I have a new giant freaking tent that I don't think we've put up yet. We could do it tomorrow, but I don't think we're gonna. So, we're trying out the new tent.
It'll lose its tent virginity on the day you arrive.
Me too. What do you have planned for this season? What do you have? Do you have anything new and exciting you want to talk about?
For this season as a whole or for this game?
Both, either or.
All right, well, I'd like to start off by saying that this game, this weekend, the thing that I am most looking forward to is probably what Sharon is also looking forward to, and that is taking me on an underwater adventure and potentially...
we heard a little bit about this in the last episode.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us about it? Why don't you talk the talk?
All right, so this whole thing started way back when there was a golem that arrived in town. You remember that? Or were you there for that?
I was definitely there. I was definitely at game, but
Yeah.
was I present for the... I don't know.
I have no idea. Okay, well, basically, Rob, one of the ADs, was playing this, silver or gold... He was playing a golem, essentially, a construct.
Yeah.
And he just sort of waltzed into town, and people were like, the fuck is
Was
this?
that when he was painted all gold?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did miss that, I think.
All right.
I don't know.
Essentially, he walked into town as this construct, and just... I guess he was messing up shit. At the time, I was sleeping in my tent because I was just exhausted that day.
Yeah.
But Rob strolled up. He was just going around, hitting stuff, and he was calling for sunder damage, right? The new
damage type.
Yeah, the new damage type. And people were like, "Oh shit!" And I don't know how long it had been since Rob came into town, but Pierre sort of ran across the field.
Yeah.
And came to the tent where I was sleeping, and he was like, Krond, you might wanna come here for this. There's a giant golem. We might need your big old badass sword. And I was like, huh? So he explained to me the situation. There was a golem going around and causing mayhem. And
Yeah, I was probably napping during this.
I was going to anyway.
You were in the middle of napping.
So I get up, I put on some armor as fast as I can. I grab Graham and I bolted across the field. And I see Rob over there. He's doing his golem thing. And so I come up and I'm like, thunder! And I hit him, and it worked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good.
And so at this point, people were just kind of like trying their best to either distract the golem or make sure I can get a hit in to do sunder damage to this thing. And then eventually, after like 5 or 10 minutes of me and other people just constantly beating his golem, he finally went down.
Okay.
But he was still kind of like creaking around and being all like, I'm still kind of working, but I'm down. And so we took him over to the forge, tried everything. We tried to destroy him. We tried melting him down. We tried... I don't know, we felt like we tried everything. Yeah. And so I got so Kron got so frustrated, I was like, you know what? Shag it. So I picked up the golem, walked over to the ocean, and threw him in.
Oh. They don't like when you do that.
No.
The mermaids don't like that.
I didn't see a mermaid up to this point, so I was like, it's cool to throw it in the ocean, it's trash, right? I'm eco-friendly. And, so... I thought, that was fine. Turns out the golem has self-repairing mechanism. So over a period of time, the golem just repaired itself. But it was at the bottom of the ocean, so it's just kind of walking around down there causing mayhem.
So you sicked a golem on a bunch of mermaids.
Yep.
That's mean.
I didn't know it at the time.
You're bad egg.
The thing is, come Potato Day, we were all doing our Potato Day thing, and then Hydrea, the mermaid princess, came up and she was all like, guys, you know you threw a golem in the ocean, right? And I was kind of off in the corner like, uh-oh. And she told us that the golem had sprung to life and started causing mayhem down in the mermaid city or something.
You meant well.
I did. I thought the worst was behind us.
We should have kept it and made it ours, and it could protect the town for us.
It could be like our little sentry at the entrance of town.
Yeah.
Just being all like, who goes there? Except it can't talk, so it wouldn't say that.
But I get it. I get the gist of it. Yeah. I think that's a better idea than giving it to the mermaids.
Yeah, it was... I didn't consider that time. Kron's whole thing is, he sees problem. Kron gets rid of problem. Problem solved. And so Hydrea came up and she was like, guys, the golem's down there causing mayhem. And Kron felt bad.
Aww.
Kron felt like, oh man, this whole thing is happening because I threw that golem in the water. So I walked up to Hydrea. I'm like, sorry, that was my fault. And Hydrea was like, well, how are we gonna fix this? So I was like, do you have a spell that makes me breathe underwater? And she was like, yeah. Okay, well then I volunteer as tribute.
Oh, so you're gonna go sunder it down in the water.
I'm gonna try.
Well, what are you gonna do? Throw it into a deeper, darker pit? For deeper, darker monsters to get mad at us?
I don't know what I'm going to do. But before, when we fought this thing, it was me doing the sunder thing, but other people were kind of around, like, being other targets or trying to distract or making an opening for me. So it's right now, if I go down there, it's just me and him, one-on-one.
So... Are you guys going to do this as a closed mod somewhere?
Yep, we're going to do it as a closed mod. I have no idea where we're doing it, probably like off to the side somewhere. But either way...
Here's a question.
What?
What if Kron has to be like diplomatic and like figure stuff politically out? Because I know that's not really his thing, right?
I didn't think this far ahead, okay?
You're just gonna...
I'm just kind of winging it. It was like, it's my fault. I'm gonna go down and help you solve it. And Hydrea was like, oh, okay. So that's sort of how that started. So she was like, all right, when the time is right and ready, I'm gonna come up and get you. And that's... Sharon has confirmed with me
that's happening.
That's gonna be like one of the first things that happens when game is called.
Well, that's exciting. I'm sad we won't get to witness it as a closed mod. One of my thumbs is fatter than the other.
What?
I'm sorry. I know we're not editing this, but the ring fits this finger, but not this one.
Maybe the joint is swollen, I guess?
I don't know. I don't know, Tony. I'm just gonna put it down for now.
Well, that's what I'm excited for most for this weekend, so...
Yeah. I'm sad we won't get to watch.
I mean, like, I'm sure you'll get all the juicy details later on, but it's just kind of my own little thing that I'm doing.
Sounds cool. I love a good character-centered mod.
Me too.
Yeah.
What about you? What's most exciting? What's coming up this game that's most exciting for you? Do you have anything planned or what?
So I don't really have any plans, but this whole season, I'm going to be playing Sylvie a lot more. Sylvie is a character that I originally had as a cast character last season.
Yep.
So she had all these points and she could do all these cool things. She's a sidekick. She's a Karen, which is like a cat lady. She had like all the stuff she could do. And then I loved playing her so much that I was like, I'm just going to like re-roll her as a 20-point character.
Okay.
So now she has like 50 XP to work with, which is not very much for a psychic because it's very expensive to play a psychic.
Yeah.
But I have like a new outfit for her. My boyfriend is playing a character that's very much centered. Like our characters are like,
your backstories are tied in
yeah,
with each other?
our backstories are tied in with each other. We have this like, okay, honestly, the thing I'm most excited for is it has nothing to do with role-playing. Well, I guess it kind of has to do with role-playing. We have this big old tent, which I've already mentioned, but we bought all these fairy lights, and we have like all these like drapes to go in it.
Yeah, you showed me the picture earlier today.
Yeah, and we're gonna make it look like a psychic, mystic, like fortune-telling hut.
Oh.
And that's what I've been spending. I'll show you some of the props after we're done. That's the thing that I've been concentrating on the most leading up to this game, and that's what I'm like most excited for. Really,
nice.
Like I have no plans for Asher this season.
So you're just gonna put like most of your experience into Sylvie this season?
I think so. Like Asher's just kind of settling down and like living the married life, doing her thing. And yeah, I kind of want to like develop Sylvie a lot more, like politically and as a sidekick. And I have so many. I don't want to give it away what I want to do with her, but she's gonna be fun.
Oh.
You're like, I don't like this.
A friggin' fortune-telling Cairn. I mean, like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
The fact that you're using tea leaves and stuff just means, like, if I get to have a cup of tea, then it's a bonus.
I have, like, tea leaves. I have tarot cards. I have, like, there's a word for it, but, like, you know when you have, like, a bag of bones and you, like, throw the bones and you read them? I have, like, that kind of thing. So I have, like, a bunch of different ways to tell fortunes, and we're gonna, like, set up our tent, and we have, like... I have a lot of ideas. My brain is like running crazy. One thing we want to do is like for nighttime fortune telling, we don't have it done yet, but we want to get a couple of black lights. And with the drapes that we're putting on the walls, we want to put like glow in the dark paint on them, so like you come in and it looks all spooky and tribal and like you know how it is.
Yeah.
Just spooky stuff. I'm doing spooky stuff this season. This is spooky season.
I have one query with that.
Okay.
If you're gonna do this at night, and most of the really nasty stuff happens at night, who's gonna come get their fortune read?
I mean, someone might, and I mean...
Kron's gonna walk up to the tent and be like, Sylvie, how do we defeat these things? Defeat what, Kron?
And she'll just be like, do they want a cup of tea? Because that's kind of what I do. No, I'm gonna play Asher a lot more at night, I think, because Asher doesn't really have, like, a lot to do during the day, because a lot of the day mods are, like, puppets and stuff, and I don't know. So I don't know, like, it's a free-for-all season. Like, last year I went into it with, like, a lot of plans and ideas, and this year I'm just kind of winging it. I'm just going with it.
I usually have an entire year planned out for Kron.
Yeah.
Like, as far as XP goes, and, well, not really story, but, like, I have an idea of what I want to put my XP in, so I'm really excited for that. Plus, a couple other things are happening, like, I'm planning on getting my big old dirty sword enchanted with a nice little enchantment that's gonna hopefully both thematically and practically be awesome.
I know what it is.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Do you not want to give it away?
I mean, like, I feel like whoever knows at this point has already kind of mentioned it.
Yeah.
But sure, why not? I'll give you...
Indulge us.
All right, so last year, I was sort of playing around with some idea. Like, Kron's never going to go into magic, right? I've already established that. That's just his character. Magic is kind of no for him, and he's all about his combat skills, right? And, but, like, the idea of magic has always, like, sort of piqued his interest. He just doesn't want to, like, for lack of a better phrase. He's not a mage. But I figure... Well, if I'm not going to go into any magic tiers and get spells for Kron, I can put the spells on my weapons and equipment, right?
Yeah, you can just enchant it.
So I was going over the rule book and looking at spells. I'm like, what enchantments could I use? But then it hit me. There was a lot of monsters that came into town that had the spell Earth Will Cause a Tremor. And I was like, that's always, like, screwed us up every single time.
It's the only spell that makes sense to go with your giant-ass sword.
So, what I was planning is, yeah, you're right. Putting that spell, the Earth Will Cause a Tremor, enchanted onto Graham.
Yeah.
So that when I slam Graham into the ground, it would cause a tremor. And I figure, thematically and practically, that just sounds so good.
It sounds so juicy. Do you know what I'm realizing as you're telling the story? One of my hands is fatter than the other. Because I'm still playing with this ring.
You're not even paying attention to me, Erika.
I am paying attention, and I love all your stories, but I was just, like, playing with this ring, and one of my hands is fatter than the other. Anyway. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Kron to... Yeah.
To Krond up the sword.
And I mean, I may have written that into the story a little bit. Because I know you're getting it.
Ah, thank you.
You know.
So that's another thing that I'm excited for this year. Other than that, I guess the thing I'm also excited about is hopefully, maybe, the conclusion of this current story arc that we are on right now.
You mean the Rift thing?
The Rift thing.
The Rift thing. Okay, for those of you who don't know, when the players... Okay, this might be totally wrong, but I'm not looking it up right now. This is just a free-for-all. When the players opened the elemental circles, I think the rifts were already open, but they opened more.
Either way, rifts were opening up all over the world, and I guess this...
Monsters and demons.
Started pouring through these rifts from another plane.
Yeah.
One such species of monsters, if you can even say that, is one called...
Them old boys.
Them old boys. The old ones, the Hellions and whatnot, sort of like eldritch beings, sort of based in Lovecraftian stuff, and they're just sort of pouring into our world, causing mayhem. Either hoping to...
Everything you were saying was so beautiful.
Up until the burp.
And then you burped.
I'm sorry! The Hellions were coming in, causing mayhem, and they're either out to destroy our world, or to make our world a part of the Eldritch domain.
Yeah. And we didn't want that. So we closed the rifts last season.
Yep, we linked up the elemental circles with elemental links. So basically, all I mean
basically,
by that is...
okay, like the way I didn't fully understand it either. I just thought it was cool to roleplay.
Yeah.
Basically, like opposing elements. You would get like 2 mages of opposing elements, and they would take a piece of mana at 2 of these rift points, and they would come together with the mana and then touch the mana and say a spell, say a little blurb, and it would close that point. It would tether that point.
It would tether those 2 points together, and the idea was if you did this with enough points, I think there was 16 points total.
Something, yeah.
You would create sort of like an elemental net around our world that would keep the eldritch beings out. And we successfully did that, and which is why the eldritch beings, the Hellions and whatnot, haven't been as active in the last 8 months that we've been away from game. Or story-wise, anyway.
I'm gonna miss them. Because if we don't have Hellions anymore, I'm going to be upset. And maybe I'll eat my words later, but I'm going to be upset because I remember my first game coming in and hearing a Hellion screech. It was either Rob or Christian, I can't remember. But I heard a Hellion screech and I literally shivered. Like, I got scared.
Yep.
So if there's no more Hellions, I'm going to be a little upset.
Yeah, I came in around the same year as... I came in the same year as you did. I've never had a game without a Hellion.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to play out if the conclusion happens.
Do you remember your first Hellion?
Do I remember my first Hellion?
Did it scare you?
Actually,
it like actually scared me. I was like, well, and doll faces scare me too.
I remember my first doll face. I remember...
Terrifying.
I don't remember my first Hellion, but I do remember my first monster in my first game. Mm-hmm. It was Sharon. She had dressed up in like this frickin' humanoid Venus flytrap thing.
Is this the one that we hid from in the water?
Yes, but that wasn't the same day. This was the day after that. She basically like dressed herself up into this giant green Venus flytrap monster, and there was a bunch of us just sitting outside the inn in front of the porch, and we were all just talking. And then in my peripheral vision, I noticed off to the side, just around the corner of the inn, there was this humanoid thing just standing perfectly still, and I was like, "What is that?" And everyone else is like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look over there. Everyone looks over at Sharon, and she's just standing perfectly still with like her hands up in the air that look like Venus flytrap mouths.
It's a really good NPC costume.
What is that? And we looked at her for a solid minute, and then it frickin' booked it towards us, made a beeline, and we were all like, fuck that. And we all spread out.
I always wonder if like Cass kind of, because I know they do it with some things, but I always wonder if like, in that moment, if she was like, it would be hilarious if I booked it at them right now. Like, if that was a on-the-fly thing, or if that was something I could always do. I love moments like that, though.
Honestly, whenever I cast for a monster, because sometimes I cast, That's exactly what I'm thinking.
It's like on the fly?
Yep.
It's like, it would be hilarious if this thing did this right now and you just do it.
Yep.
That's how, you know the Night Yetis?
Yes, I do, because I played one.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the story of the Night Yetis, and this is like the story of how Asher and Orin became a thing. This is when people started shipping them. This is one of my favorite LARP stories of all time.
Okay, go.
We'll probably tell it again in a more story-driven way. Okay, so it was I think it was my second game, and there were these like Sugar and Spice came in. They're the Void and the Essence mages, and they had these like big hairy Yeti things with them.
Yep.
So I remember Volk was like gathering people and sending them to the Earth Circle so they could be healed and so we could hide from these things. And I went to the Earth Circle and I was like, oh, everyone's just hiding here. I don't want to do that. I want to go fight things. So I started leaving the Earth Circle and I ran into Orin. Asher ran into Orin.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's up? And I was like, people are just hiding here. And he goes, I don't want to just hide here. I want to fight things. And I was like, that's what I just said. I want to do that too. So like, let's go fight things together. So as we're leaving the Earth Circle, one of these Yetis comes up. And for some reason, it's like we could read each other's minds. We both stood completely still. Like, we both just did it. Like, we didn't, like, confer that we should do this. We just both did it. And Rob told us later, he was playing the Yeti. He just went with it. He was like, it would be cool if, like, we couldn't see you if you weren't moving.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how, like, because now we fight Night Yetis based solely on that.
Are you freaking serious?
Yes!
That's how that started?
That's how that started. So,
that
like,
is brilliant.
Rob came right up to us and was like, looking around, and we stood perfectly still, and then he turned around and ran in the other direction, and Alex and I were like, that was the coolest thing that's ever happened to either of us in our entire lives. We had a really good night like, there's a bunch of other stories that happened that night between Orin and I, but, like, that was how that started. So I love how Cass does that. Just, like, on the fly, they'll do something that's, like, just, it's cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
Oh. One of my favorite things.
On that note, I do have an Orin story as well.
Okay.
It was my second game, and I'll never forget this because this is the coolest fight I've ever had with anyone.
Why does so much cool shit happen around Orin?
Because Orin is just a cool freaking guy.
That's true.
I'll never forget this. This was the second game I ever played, so September of 2016. I remember this was when Teak came in, and for those of you who don't know, Teak is a very powerful psychic.
Yes.
But at the time, she couldn't control her psychic powers. And she might have been, like, kilometers away at that moment, but her psychic abilities were reaching us at Holdfast. She was unknowingly turning people into mindless babies.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da, all that stuff.
That was so fun. Sorry, continue.
That's okay. But anyway, so this was happening, and we were all kind of trying to deal with whoever was being turned into babies and the monsters that were coming at the exact same time. It was just mayhem. And I remember Sharon walking up to me. This is what started this whole me and Sharon thing. I remember Sharon walking up to me in an Oog headband, and she said something along the lines of, "The mountains are on fire. Your village is burning. Da-da-da-da-da," and all this stuff. And she was like, your allies are your enemies. And I was like,
oh no.
Uh-oh. So anyway, the way I interpreted that as Krond, I see, like, the mountain's on fire. I'm going to head towards the mountain, right, to try and save my clan. So I start walking towards the woods, and Orin was like, Krond, no, don't go in the woods. So he comes over, he grapples me, and I turn around, and I'm already in fury mode at that point. I turn around, and I grapple him back. His grapple was 1 point higher than me, and he threw me back into the field. When I got up, I was enraged, and I saw Orin as my enemy. I took Graham, and I just started flailing. Alex was, like, in the heat of the moment, just dodging.
Oh, there goes the mic.
Alex was just dodging Graham left, right, and center. He ducked. I hit a few times, and then the last time I hit him, I just brought Graham straight down on top of him. He put the shield up. Graham hit the shield, buckled his legs, and then Rob came over and threw a mana at me, repelled me, put me into the crowd of people, and I was just standing in the center of the crowd, everyone surrounding me, trying to get a piece of me, and I was still, like, in fury mode, and then they all just sort of ganged up and took me down. But that fight with Orin was the coolest fight I've ever had at the LARP, and I will never forget it.
Is he not one of the most fun people to fight at game? He's so good. He's so agile.
He's more agile than you'd think.
Yeah,
like you look at him, and, like, he's pretty solidly built. He's dense too. But, like, he moves more graceful than you'd think.
These stories, okay, this just became an Orin episode. Okay, these stories are getting me so hyped for game. I can't believe by the time this is out, we're going to game.
Yep.
I'm so hyped. I'm going to tell you one more Orin story.
All right.
And you could tell me, let's just tell orange stories all day. Same night, Sugar and Spice. This is the same night as the Night Yeti, and it's after we both kind of like established this thing with the Night Yeti.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dang, I always get them mixed up. I think Spice came over to me. Spice was Helen, right?
Spice was played by Helen, and Sugar's played by
AD Sharon. Yeah.
Yep.
So Spice came over to me, and she has like a weird voodoo doll kind of thing, and I think she grapples me, and then she starts like sewing into my hand like threads from this voodoo doll.
What?
And she basically tells me like, whatever I do with this voodoo doll, your hand is doing.
Yeah.
So Oren comes up to like help me, and she starts like throwing this voodoo doll at him, so my hand starts like hitting his shield, and I'm like, how am I going to get out of this one?
Yeah.
Do you know what he does?
What?
Do you know what this guy does? It's
What?
the most brilliant thing I've ever seen in my life. He knocks the voodoo doll out of her hand, picks it up, and just starts running. So like I'm running with him.
Oh!
I was like, can we do this? I don't know if we could do it. I look back at Helen and I'm like, can we go? Is this fine?
How did he know it was the voodoo doll? Did he see like you were doing the same thing the voodoo doll does, or what?
Yeah, because she was like doing this with the voodoo doll, and I was like mimicking it. So he was like, obviously, what a smart cookie. He was like, obviously, I just have to take this voodoo doll, and he like took the voodoo doll, and we ran out of there, and he saved me.
That's one thing about Alex. He's really good at solving puzzles.
He's so smart.
Dude.
I can't wait to LARP.
It's gonna be a good weekend.
It's gonna be so good.
I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped for this game. I'm so hyped for this season. Also, fun fact. This May event that we're going to right now is 4 days long.
Yes.
It's an extra long event because it's May 2-4 weekend, and we get an extra game this year.
Yeah.
Which means that
we
now
have
we're
an
going
extra long season.
Yep. So we're going from May to October, and hopefully that's the new standard now. If we get this insurance thing on the go, oh buddy, it's so exciting.
I hope that now that the season seems to be lengthening for certain reasons, I'm hoping we can have like actual winter events, because we're in Newfoundland. Like winter events would be very brutal, but I'd still go to them. I just LARP inside.
I mean, like I'd have to find like a winter outfit for Kron, which is not undoable.
Yeah, I mean, Kron is a fur kind of wearing guy. He's a barbarian kind of dude.
He is. Spoilers for June game.
Is this okay? Hold on. This is my. Here's the thing. We do this podcast in the house. In my house. My house is currently undergoing renovations, and also we just have a very, what's a non-offensive way to describe this setup? A terrible setup.
Shoddy.
A shoddy setup.
There we go.
So I really want to, we also record this in a room with an 8x6 foot window. Like a huge window, which is a no-no for recording audio.
Yep.
I want to get some audio foam in here, but right now I actually have my foam mat that I use for LARP set up on the window so that it like kills some of the bounce.
And it just fell over.
And it just fell over. So yeah, we're kind of in the middle of that. But yeah, I'm hoping to set up this. Oh my gosh, I apologize for the last week's episode. The recording with Hillary, her microphone didn't start. It didn't record, so it sounded awful.
I mean, like if you had headphones in, it was fine. If you had like your audio device, or even if you were playing it in your car and the volume up, it was fine. But like, the problem was, if you wanted to hear Hillary, you had to turn it up, but we were right next to the mic, so we
were so loud.
We became obnoxiously loud.
Yeah, I'm just trash. I've never had so much difficulty recording for something. Usually it goes fine. This, no.
Either way, like, it was still a good episode. We got a lot of lore covered. We got a lot of history of the Empire and the Confederacy covered. Even though, like, it wasn't our best audio recording, like, I still think, like...
We're working out the bugs.
Yeah.
I think this episode is going to hopefully give people a better idea of like who's in Holdfast and what's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We have to go to bed.
All right. So let me see. What do you think, or what do you hope? Like, if the Rift arc is finally coming to a close this season, what do you think, or what do you want to see come next?
You know how last season we had these interdimensional psychic werewolf things?
What?
You don't remember that?
Are they the phase beasts? The things that...
Yeah.
The
yeah,
things that kind of blink in and out?
Yeah, they can like phase in and phase out when you go to attack them. I think that's our next problem.
Okay.
Shit from different dimensions just wants into our dimension.
One of those mofos took Fanggear, and I can't get it back. I haven't gotten it back. So right now I am exclusively using Graham.
You have to get Fanggear back.
I have to, but I don't know how I'm going to get it back, so...
I mean, I'm hoping because these things... Well, okay, when Sylvie kind of... Sylvie was attacked by one of these things, and it, like, severely affected her psychic energy. So I'm thinking because Sylvie's a psychic, she might be able to help in some way. I don't know. She's pretty squishy and weak. She can't do much.
Well, because luckily she has, what's his name, Marisi?
Marisi, yeah. He's got... Do you know what weapon he's getting?
Guandao.
Yeah, he's getting the new Epic Armory giant sword on a stick. Yeah.
I love Guandaos.
So as Jake said, it's a nice piece of kit.
Yep.
It's a nice piece of equipment. Yeah, that's gonna be his weapon. Sylvie's a pacifist, so she doesn't have a weapon, but I have some armor for her this year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have little metal pauldrons.
Also, a little spoiler alert, Kron. I'm currently working on some brand new armor for Kron as well.
Yeah?
Yep. It's going. Well, obviously, he's gonna rock his classic navy blue.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a little bit more. Like there's gonna be fur onto it. It's gonna be a little bit more barbarian Viking-esque, but at the same time still look like modern full plate ish. It's kind of going to be like a melding of the two things.
That sounds cool.
I hope it is. I have a picture, and I know it's not going to do anything for the podcast because this is you can only hear us.
We can put it on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. Send me a picture. We'll put it on Instagram.
Yes, girl.
And we'll... Yes, girl! I'm sorry if I just spit on you.
No. Even if you did, I didn't feel it.
Okay. I mean... we're at the spitting phase. I don't know. What do you want?
Do we have any closing comments? Because this is only supposed to be like a little mini episode
just
for the
a little
drive
short
out.
one. I feel like, the drive out is like 45 minutes, and this is like reaching around that.
Yep.
I want to say... Okay, so normally we try to get out an episode every 2 weeks, which even then it's very difficult. Between the writing, the editing, the recording, like even 2 weeks is like is really cutting it close.
And even then, there's still stuff that could like pop up, like life stuff.
I messaged Jake, our narrator, and Tony right after the second episode came out, and I was like, I think this one's coming out like 10 days later. Like less than 2 weeks.
Like this episode?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's coming out very quickly. So I messaged you guys and I was like, what do you think? And you guys were on board and were just great about like, getting it done super quick. Yep. And then I have to thank my boyfriend who basically helped me write and edit the episode because I was like, I can't get this done. And he was like, calm the heck down. I'm going to help you. So I have to thank him and I have to thank, I don't know. I think those are the only people who got this episode out. Yeah. Thank you guys for helping me get this episode out so quickly.
I'm sorry.
You do not do well with compliments. Yeah, those are my closing thoughts. Like, thank you to thanks for everyone pulled together and we got it done super quick. Was that obnoxious?
No, not at all.
Okay. Do you have any closing thoughts? I'm just excited. I'm tired. The week before a LARP is like crazy.
Yep. I'm like, I don't even know. Even though I've been awake for almost 18 hours now, I don't even know if I'll be able to get to sleep tonight because of the excitement. I am just anticipating this season to come. I want great adventures. I want great RP. I do not want to be on another operating table.
I feel like it's going to be such a good season.
I think this is going to be like one of the best seasons yet. And I can't wait for it to happen.
Everyone that I've spoken to is like super hyped for the season, like cast included. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yep, so do I.
Let's end on that.
And, yep, so on that note, even though this episode was a little short, we're still pretty excited for Game to start, and we hope all you awesome nerds have a good time at Game this weekend, and hopefully the season will it'd be great for you guys too. Oh man,
your face was just like I forgot my train of thought.
Yep, I did. I actually had something on the tip of my tongue, and then just it left.
For everyone who doesn't LARP with us that's listening, if you do LARP, I hope... well, here's the thing. Some people are spoiled and they get to LARP year-round. But if you don't get to LARP year-round, I hope you have a great season, and I hope you enjoy hearing the stories from our season.
Yep. And if you have any stories of your own from your own LARP, why don't you share them to like our Facebook page or
Oh
our
my
Instagram
gosh, yes,
page.
I was thinking about this today. Okay, number one, we have a Facebook page. Like, please go join it. It's called, I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's called Holdfast, a LARP podcast.
Yep.
But also, message that page. I was thinking we could do these episodes. I don't even know yet. I don't know if this is a thing yet, but I thought it might be fun.
We're still dreaming big.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out like our format, but I thought it would be fun if we did episodes every now and then where we just took really short, like a couple 2 to 3 paragraph stories that people sent us about their LARP games, like something funny that happened or like some time where they felt super epic and cool, and we read them out.
That would be really cool.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yep.
Yeah, like send us your stories, but like keep them short.
Yeah, this is still a podcast basically about our LARP, but we would love to hear about your LARPs as well, what kind of stories that you guys have.
Like a full page would be pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, if you got some cool stuff to send us, send it our way, and we will hopefully give you guys either a shout out or read your stories on the podcast.
I think that's a great place to close this one.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm so tired.
So, yeah, I'm sorry as well, but you know what? The hype has driven me through this episode. I think we got some great stories covered, and hopefully that...
Alex is going to have a huge head. He's going to be like, this was all about me.
Yep. And we haven't even got to an episode of each individual character yet.
Yeah.
We're just spoiling stuff for his episode.
Just spoiling the Orin story. He has so many more than that.
Oh, yeah.
So
And
many
especially
cool
with this
stories.
season coming up, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Check us out on Instagram at HoldFastLARP. Check us out on Facebook at HoldFast a LARP Podcast. You can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at GuysIDK. Tony still doesn't have the internet.
What? Yeah.
No, Tony doesn't
I have
use
a
socials.
Facebook page. I also, if you want to, I have a personal training page.
Tony is a personal trainer and is better than all of us.
What? It's not where I was going with that, but yes.
That's how I feel. Like Tony has more discipline than me at my best. Okay. Yeah, check us out. What's your Facebook page?
The Facebook page is Tony Preston, personal trainer, and it's linked into my my actual Facebook page, which is just Tony Preston. If you guys want to check it out, it's fine. I'm hoping to start posting some more videos there. Other than that,
Want to take a video of me squatting because like I do a good squat.
You do a good squat sitting down on a bench.
No, what?
Yeah.
I've never squatted on a bench.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know, but you always compliment my squats, and I don't squat on a bench. I hold weights and squat.
Oh yeah.
Who are you thinking of?
I don't even know. It's late. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm a little offended. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Okay, we're off track. Okay, thanks for tuning in.
And fade.
Bye.
Have a good day, guys. Hopefully see you in the next episode.
See you at LARP if you're coming to LARP with us. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.